Hello friends, how are we doing? In this video I'm going to run you through how to run a business partnership as I have successfully been able to do for the last few years. Before you click off, if you're a solopreneur, whatever the hell that means, right? If you're a solopreneur and you don't have a partner, then I still want you to watch this video. I want you to watch it because when it comes to hiring a key role as you develop and build your company, which you full well will have to do, you will still find value in this video. So maybe you don't have a 50-50 business partner, but when you come to hire an operations manager or head of sales or anything like that, you're partnering with someone just without giving them shares in your company. So I've got 5 points to run you through. My business partner, his name is Beau, short for Baudouin. He's a beautiful man, and I love him to bits. Do you know what? We'll start there. I think that if you can build love into your partnership, now not in a romantic sense, because Beau's now going to watch this and now I'm going to get all shy. Obviously not in a romantic sense. The positive emotion that I feel towards Beau and vice versa, I hope at least, is very strong. And you only build that positive emotion through familiarity and consistent exposure to the other person's character or mind, right? So that kind of happens. But either way, let me tell you about my partnership. So I partnered up with my current business partner, Beau, roughly 5 years ago. We built NorthFlow Consulting, which was a marketing agency, to about $100,000 a month, and we started Imperium Acquisition just over two and a half years ago, and have now scaled it to a point where we're collecting about 700 grand a month in cash, doing around 8 figures in booked revenue. I could not do that without Beau. I don't think he could do it without me. We complement each other incredibly well. But we'll start with the first point, which I just typed out there, which is the complimenting thing. Now, obviously I'm complimenting Beau because he's gorgeous, but I don't mean it in that traditional stroking someone's ego because of the way they look approach. We compliment each other because we work well together in the fact that I account for Beau's weaknesses and he accounts for mine. So when it comes to how we run Imperium Acquisition, for example, I am the front end of the company. I do the talking, I do the words, and that's pretty much that. Beau, on the other hand, prefers to sit in the background, tinker around and play around with shit and operate, if that makes sense. I'm not actually extroverted, believe it or not, but where I'm way more extroverted, Beau is significantly more introverted in that sense that, if we're in a room and we're in a meeting, I'll be the person talking and Beau will be the person listening. That makes sense. We are extremely different people, but for some reason we don't piss each other off, which is a good thing. So let's get into it. So probably the most important thing to start off with is mutual incentive. So once you've nailed down the partnership in the sense that the person who you're hiring or the person who you're partnering with actually makes sense to partner with or hire because they complement your skill set or your weaknesses in some way or another, like they pick up a weight that you cannot bear, you need to look for mutual incentive. And what this means is you both want exactly the same thing. This is an interesting thing because me and Beau, our desires and goals and financial desired futures perfectly align, and they always have aligned and they always will align, right? Because we want exactly the same thing. It's like we have one mind. So when we set goals or when we set missions or visions for the company, when we decide what sort of lifestyles we want to have, we have basically identical desires because we're built in the same way with similar characteristics. We're both very conscientious. And so, for example, if I was partnering with Beau and I wanted to have a laptop lifestyle and live on a beach somewhere and work for 3 hours a day, and he didn't want that, he wanted to build like a big company, then we'd obviously be at a bit of an impasse and it wouldn't work. So you need to have this mutual incentive where you share the same goal and you're both very, 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 very clear on exactly what that goal is and exactly what you both want out of life. Because Beau and I both want to be billionaires, right? And so we're willing to sacrifice a lot of time, energy and effort and expend a lot of conscientious potential towards that single goal. And because of that, it's really the main thing in life that we both want. Neither Beau nor I have any desire to do anything else, right? Obviously family and stuff, right? Build a family. But aside from that, if I wanted to be a billionaire and then also be like a professional martial art person, and then Beau also wanted to be like a professional painter and do that full time, you can't. Now I've got this image in my mind of Beau painting, which is quite cute actually. But you can't do that, right? It has to just be succinct. This is what we both want and this is what we're both working towards. Because that's the best way to run a partnership is it's 2 people or more than 2 people with the exact same incentive and they both need each other. If you both need each other, then you're never going to fuck each other over, because I need Bo to get to 1 billion and Bo needs me to get to 1 billion, right? We could probably figure it out on our own individually, but we know it would take significantly longer and be way less fun, right? I'd rather make £1 billion and give half of it away to someone who helped me, if it means that in the process of doing that I have way more fun, it's way more enjoyable, and ultimately it's more likely to happen. The next thing is mutually assured destruction, right? So here's how a good partnership should work. If I fuck Bo over, then I'm fucking myself over. And this is where it comes back to the mutual incentive and the complementing each other thing. If you have a partner and you need that partner to achieve your goal, you're never gonna fuck them over, because by fucking them, you fuck yourself. Does that make sense? Right? So if Bo, for example, one day woke up and did something to harm me or screw me over, short-term play, like, oh, I've liquidated your shares, tough luck, mate, good luck being homeless. Like, it's not within his interest to do that, because he needs me, just like I need him. And so you need this mutually assured destruction thing where, let's say that Bo found an embarrassing video of me and posted it on YouTube to ruin my reputation. Trust me, one probably exists, right? He posted it on YouTube and he's like, Charlie Morgan exposed, look at him doing this TikTok dance and whatever whilst he's drunk. Actually, please bear in mind, I've never ever done a TikTok dance, let alone when I'm drunk, so let's just pretend those videos don't exist. But like, in all seriousness, like, if he did that, it would harm me. It probably wouldn't. You guys probably wouldn't care too much, right? But let's just say it was a damaging video. It would harm me, which would harm the YouTube channel, which would harm the traffic, which would harm Imperium, which would harm him. So if I do something to hurt him, it comes back to hurt me. And if he does something to hurt me, it does something to hurt him. If he goes down, I go down with him, right? So we both have an interest and incentive, not only to not destroy each other, right? But more importantly, to actually restore each other's lives and make sure we're both happy. If I slip into a mental rut, or if Bo slips into a mental rut, or if Bo ends up in hospital, or if I end up somewhere in a bad place, it's within our interest to help each other out, because if we don't, then obviously the other person is going to suffer. Now, the next thing, and I would argue this is the cornerstone of any great partnership. And I'm also expecting that the way that I'm handling my business partnership is the way that I will handle marriage, in terms of the fact that, you've got a partner for life, someone that you love, someone, they complement you. But the most important thing I believe to a partnership is honest communication above everything, really. I mean, you can't really have like a successful partnership without needing each other and mutual like incentives, mutual sort of destruction. But for Bo and I, like, what we've always found is that by just always telling the truth and being honest, we haven't really gone wrong. I'm a firm believer, like, the truth is something that I value, right? So I just believe to always tell the truth, because when you tell the truth, the best outcome is impossible to prevent. Because if you're telling the truth and you're speaking the truth and you're behaving in accordance with the truth, you are in alignment with how the Stoics would have called living in alignment with nature, or not doing anything out of alignment with nature, right? If you tell the truth, you act in accordance with the truth, everything you ever do is aligned with the objective nature of reality and nature itself. And I don't understand how that could ever be a bad thing. If I say to Bo, hey, I think we should hire this person, Bo's like, that's the worst decision I've ever heard in my life, right? And likewise, if Bo came to me and said, I think we should do this for the product, I'd be like, I don't think we should do that. It's a stupid idea. Honest communication is the most important thing. And the only way you can accomplish this, and this is point number 5, is to remove all ego from the partnership. So what you've got to realize, right, is a partnership is collaborative. And what that means is, in order for you to successfully get the most from a partnership, you have to remove your ego at all times. For example, Bo and I have this mutual understanding, this unwritten rule of our partnership in the interactive culture of our very partnership, that under no circumstances ever is the other person ever allowed to ever get offended at what the other person has ever said. And what this means is, like, Bo can tell me the truth and I can tell Bo the truth, the raw, unfiltered, sometimes very painful truth, and we are not allowed to get upset. Bo will call me out on behaviors and I will call Bo out on behaviors. I made a stupid decision. I'm not allowed to get offended when Bo says that was a fucking stupid decision. We never attack each other and our characters, we attack our flaws and our behaviors, and that way you've got this accountability. Because here's the thing about making money. You need a peer. You need someone on your level to keep you in check. Let's say that you're making 100 grand a month, right? And you're 22 years old. You are now a top 1%, probably top 0.5% man in terms of financial income. If you're not careful, that shit goes straight to your head, mate. Goes bang straight up there, and now you think you're better than everyone. Happened to me, right? And fortunately enough, I've got Bo, to be like, dude, you ain't shit, shut the fuck up, little rat, right? It needs to happen. You need, I'm not calling him a rat, me a rat, right? You need honest communication. Let's say that our partnership isn't built on the foundation of honesty. If I have a terrible idea that's terrible for the company and both too afraid to tell me because my ego's too big, then the company's going to fail. And so one of the cornerstones to our company's success is just this constant honesty and constant removal of ego. We have a conversation. I'm like, I think this is a good idea. Bo's like, that's the worst idea I've ever heard in my whole life ever. It's terrible. We should not do that. Why? But if I'm like, what the hell do you mean? It's a great idea. No, we're doing it. Don't be stupid. Do you know what I mean? Bo and I don't think we've ever had a single argument. Ever. We have discussions. We have, I wouldn't even say heated discussions because there's no emotion. We have emotionless discussions about variables and decisions and actions that the company should take. But not once have we ever had an argument. Sure, we'll poke fun at each other sometimes and like fuck around, but not once have we ever had like a row or a shouting match. Not once I mean, obviously, you know, in the short term, Bo might say something that might piss me off, but then like literally within like 2 minutes, I'm like, oh, there's the ego. Like, why, like, how am I going to get to 9 figures if I let my ego get riled up every time someone says something that resembles the truth? I would never get offended at something Bo says because we've got this mutual incentive, right? We both want the same thing. And so I'm trusting that Bo is acting in his best interest, which is also my best interest. So when he says this is stupid or that's the wrong thing to do, instead of taking it to heart and being like, oh, I'm so upset, that's so offensive, I'm looking at his intentions and saying, oh, well, that's the best option he sees fit for us to achieve our mutual goal. Does it mean he's right? Not necessarily. Does it mean he's wrong? Perhaps. Maybe not. But ultimately, the removal of ego is probably the most important thing, man. Last but not least, I mean, talk every single day. So Bo and I discuss things like every day, even if we have nothing to discuss. We hop on like a call at 10 a.m. every day. Right now, we're in Stockholm together, so like the whole Airbnb trip for this whole month. We're in Stockholm until the end of June. This whole trip is essentially just like one big walking meeting, if that makes sense. That's how I run my partnership. If you want more meetings, first link in the description. Subscribe if you're new. Love you lots.